I Love Lucie might be the most famous and influential American sitcom of all time. It premiered on CBS October 15, 1951, and ran until May 6, 1957. During the 180-episode run, Lucille Ball and her husband Desi Arnaz, alongside Vivian, Vance, and William Frawley, brilliantly delivered to audiences some of the most iconic, not to mention downright hilarious, television moments in the medium's history. In August of 2019, to celebrate Lucille Ball's birthday, entertainment content provider Fathom Events, in conjunction with Regal Cinemas, held a special one-day-only event in which 5 uncut, full-length colorized episodes of the sitcom were aired in select theaters across America. Lucille Ball's daughter, Lucie Arnaz, along with her brother, Desi Jr., served as executive producer of the 2021 biopic film Being The Ricardos. Of all the people who could have taken on that role, Lucie and Desi Jr. certainly are the most qualified. They grew up immersed in all things I Love Lucie, and obviously being the children of the show's 2 lead stars had a significant impact on their upbringing. Leading up to the Fathom Events screenings, Lucie sat down with Jason Frawley of DC area radio station WTOP to discuss the project. In that interview, she discussed the 5 episodes selected for the screening. She gave listeners several key insights into what made them so memorable and trailblazing. So keep watching as Facts First presents the best I Love Lucie moments as told by Lucille Ball's daughter. Job switching. In this episode, Ricky and Fred get upset over their wives' frivolous spending. The conflict leads Lucie and Ethel to swap roles with their spouses to go work at a candy factory, while the boys stay back at home to do the housework. Not only is this episode one of the funniest, but it's also generally considered to be one of the best all-around sitcom episodes of all time. While the majority of TV fans are familiar with this funny episode, there are a few behind-the-scenes secrets you might not know. For one thing, the woman making chocolates with Lucie, Amanda Milligan, was a real-life candy maker from C's Candy in LA. When preparing for the role, Milligan was apprehensive to slap Lucie as aggressively as the script called for. During the rehearsal, she was very timid, and her slap looked quite unconvincing. So to get the shot they needed for optimal comedic effect, Lucie decided to slap her harder than they did in rehearsal in the hopes she'd slap her back with matching intensity. The plan worked, and Milligan really let Ball have it. Another interesting tidbit related to this episode involved the scene in which Ricky slipped on the overflowing rice at home. The first slip was unscripted and accidental, but it received such a great reaction from the live audience, Desi slipped twice more on purpose. According to Lucie, he cracked 2 ribs in the process. According to Lucie Arnaz, Lucille and Desi were inspired by the comedy of Charlie Chaplin when developing the episode. Later on, since all the greats tend to steal from the greats, Laverne and Shirley stole from I Love Lucie. But instead of feeling slighted by this, Lucille and Desi took it as a compliment. This video is sponsored by Kamikoto knives, which are made from high-quality Japanese steel using traditional centuries-old techniques. The first thing I noticed about these knives is the beautiful, heavy-duty ash wood box they come in. Not only is this great for storage, but it makes a great gift for any chef or knife enthusiast. Upon opening the box, I couldn't help but admire the craftsmanship that goes into each knife. Each one is handcrafted by an expert bladesmith, a 19-step process that takes several years to complete for a single Japanese steel knife. Then each blade is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. I had never used a Japanese steel knife until Kamikoto, but even as a casual home chef, I immediately noticed the quality was way better than any knife I'd used before. It's reasons like these that Kamikoto knives are used by Michelin star chefs all over the world. Kamikoto has several special offers going on right now and is offering our viewers an extra $50 off any purchase with the discount code FACTSFIRST on top of ongoing special offers. Go to kamikoto.com/FACTSFIRST to get your knives set and help support our channel. LA at last. In this episode, the Ricardos and the Mertzes go to the Brown Derby restaurant shortly after arriving in Hollywood. There, a chance encounter with film star William Holden takes a dramatic turn. Discussing the episode, Lucie Arnaz noted that for many years, stars and their agents considered being a guest on I Love Lucie as one of the most significant career boosts. After all, the show was #1 in the ratings for much of its run. Celebrity guest spots typically involved big-name stars randomly showing up at the Tropicana, where Ricky worked, or paying paying a visit to Lucie and Ricky's apartment in New York. After doing this shtick for a couple seasons, however, they started thinking about how they could take things in a different direction. When Ricky gets a job in Tinseltown, that suddenly opened things up for all sorts of stars to appear on the show. The opportunity allowed the show to explore new stories where famous people could make appearances in a manner that seemed more natural. While Holden only appeared in one episode, that wasn't the last time he shared the screen with everyone's favorite redhead. In the last scene in the episode, Lucie Ricardo fainted after sharing a kiss with Holden. In the 1949 film Miss Grant Takes Richmond, Ball and Holden enjoyed many more kisses on screen. Another interesting fact about this episode involves one of its less memorable characters. When CBS colorized the episode, they reinserted a previously lost scene where we learned that Bobby the Bellhop had a minor role in the film Julius Caesar. The $1 Million Idea. This episode saw Lucie and Ethel starting a business making salad dressings based on an old recipe from Lucie's Aunt Martha. While their local TV advertising makes it appear as if the business venture is a success, Ricky discovers the ladies are actually losing money on each jar. After relaying this information, the girls have to figure out a way to get their customers to cancel the orders they had already placed. Lucie Arnaz was born 6 weeks before her parents started filming I Love Lucy. In her interview with WTOP, she discussed how she remembered going down to set when she was around 6 years old, but much like everyone else in America, she saw the vast majority of episodes in reruns later on. According to her, the Martha's salad dressing episode was the one they first showed to U.S. service members during the war. Previously, that kind of thing hadn't been done. Although the premise of the episode was perfect for comedic purposes, in reality, Ethel and Lucie could have simply shut down their business without having to go through the trouble of filling all the orders since none of them were prepaid. But then again, if they'd done that, the episode would have lost all its magic. Lucie does a TV commercial. This fantastic episode gives the Chocolate Factory episode a run for its money. Many feel it's every bit as iconic and equally hilarious. TV Guide ranked it number 2 on their list of the 100 greatest TV episodes of all time. When Lucie becomes a pitchwoman, advertising a medicinal tonic called Vitamita Vegemin on Ricky's show, she's initially under the reasonable impression that it contains, as its name seems to imply, vitamins, meat, vegetables, and minerals. What she doesn't know, however, is that it's also 23% alcohol. During her first take, Lucie takes a sip from the tonic bottle, which, judging by her reaction, tastes terrible. After a few more takes, she becomes increasingly intoxicated and her speech begins to slur. Lucie then gets taken backstage to rest until the commercial goes live. But when Ricky begins singing El Relicario, she staggers on stage towards him while waving at the camera. She starts singing with Ricky while repeating her sales pitch for the tonic in the middle of his performance. Ricky tries desperately to keep her off camera, and after he's done singing, he carries her off stage. According to Lucie, her mother memorized the routine flawlessly, and they did it all in one take in front of the studio audience without having to do any retakes. At no point was she ever trying to be funny in an obvious way. Instead, the audience saw her reacting to everything that happened naturally. As such, the situation is extremely believable and undeniably hilarious. Pioneer Woman. In this first season episode, Lucie and Ethel stage a revolt over housework, demanding modern conveniences. Ricky and Fred place bets on how long the girls can survive without having access to anything invented after 1900, including the use of electricity. The end result is an absurdly large loaf of bread. While from a modern perspective, the episode is all about exploring gender dynamics in the mid-20th century. According to Lucie, it was less to do with that and more about finding comedy and how women of that era wanted more. Lucie definitely wanted more. She was a very frustrated performer who desperately wanted to be on stage. She had guts and gall, and if she wanted something, she became determined to find a way to get it. Lucie told WTOP that it never occurred to her until recently that when baking the bread, the pan grew as well. The scene was written so brilliantly that most people probably never paused to consider it. The prop department made an actual loaf of bread that long, but as to how they accomplished that feat, Lucie has no insight. After the scene was filmed, the crew sliced it up into hundreds of slices and made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the audience. At the end of the day, Lucie admits it's almost impossible to narrow down all of her favorite episodes to just 5. Whenever she sits down and watches the show on DVD, she's amazed by the sheer amount of hilarious scenes and episodes that people hardly ever talk about. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite episode from I Love Lucy? Let us know in the comments section below.